Hi, I'm Zach Wheatcroft here in the Bias booth at AES 2005, and I'm going to be showing you some of the feature highlights of Peak Pro and Peak Pro XT5, which has been just released a couple weeks ago. So let's take a quick look at what some of the new features are. And basically, let me backtrack a little there. Peak Pro 5 is the new version of Peak. Peak Pro XT5 is the same core Peak product, but includes a slew of new mastering plugins. So let's first take a look at Peak 5, and then we'll run through the plugins a bit too. So starting out here from left to right, let's see. Peak Pro 5 now features Recover Audio File, which is a great tool for, say you have a damaged file of any kind, basically, mono, stereo, bit depth, doesn't really matter. If you can't open it in any application, you can try Peak's Recover Audio File feature, and it will attempt to salvage any audio content that can be pulled out of that file. It'll save it into a new document, so it's a really useful utility. Another thing that's great, we've got new snap to options. So these are going to be great for, especially for video game sound library developers, people making loops for PS2 and Xbox games. And what they do, let's zoom down to the sample level here a bit. And let's say we set our snap to units to Sony PS2. So what that means is, as I make a selection, Peak is going to always snap to 28 samples or some multiple thereof. So for example, there's 28, there's 84, 56. What this ensures is that loops and sound effects that are created will always be sample accurate for the PS2's audio engine. Okay, moving on. We have some great new DSP tools. There's a tool called Auto Define Tracks. What it does is automatically break up things like LP and cassette recordings into regions so that CDs can be burned really quickly. So you can basically open up a file, choose Auto Define Tracks, breaks it into regions, and then you can burn a CD. So you can do this within seconds. Also new, kind of at the core of Peak 5, is a brand new sample rate conversion algorithm. And what that gives us is new change duration and new change pitch algorithms, and of course converting sample rate. It's going to be the best quality of anything you can find. Let's take a look at that, at change duration. And all right, we'll open up a drum sample here, and let's take a listen to this before we do any changes. Okay. So let's do something like slow that down, and we'll choose change duration, and we'll choose transient mode, which is perfect for drum beats and things. And let's say we'll switch that from 7.3 seconds down to 5. All right. And let's see what that sounds like now. Okay, that's pretty easy. Let's do the opposite now. Let's lengthen that out from, it was 7 seconds, let's go to 10 and see how it sounds. All right, so it's a really high quality time stretching algorithm. The change pitch algorithm is brand new and also very high quality. We've also added RMS normalization, which is yet another way to adjust levels in your files in Peak. You can adjust the RMS level and digital ceiling. Then another new feature is strip silence. So what you can do here is you have the noise gate section and the stripper section. Basically, when you use the noise gate, what happens is Peak will silence or bring down as far as you like any silent or quiet areas. When you engage the stripper, it will delete those sections out of the file as well. So there are a lot of options in how you can use the strip silence tool. Moving along, we have a new version of VBox 2.0. Now supports VST and audio unit plugins, and not just effects. We also host virtual instruments now, so you can load up virtual instruments and play them. You can play along with files in Peak. You can add combinations of virtual instruments as well as effects plugins. so you can modify the output of a virtual instrument. Also related to plugins, we now have an auto adjust bounce for latency feature and a new tape style scrubbing algorithm, also related to the sample rate conversion algorithm. So let's give that a shot. We'll check our preference here first, okay? And so let's scrub through this drum sample. So it sounds really good. Now, I've saved probably the best for last, and that's the new playlist in Peak 5. So let's take a look at that. And in addition to the classic kind of EDL style look, you have a new waveform view. So let's add a few regions here. So let's say we're mastering a CD, and we've got 3 songs here. Here I've got them in the staggered view. I can click and drag to create crossfades. I can also look at the regions in linear view. So here we use Quartz 2D technology, overlap. You can trim regions. You can move them. And let's go back to stagger view for a moment. You can change the type of crossfade just by clicking and creating your own or choosing from Peak's fade library. You can move an entire fade and keep its duration constant. You can trim regions. And there's slip and shuffle modes, so each has a little bit of a different behavior. Then in addition, there's a track start offset marker, and there's a pause gap marker, so you can create practically any kind of transition you like between songs, whether it be crossfades, audio and pause, standard gap times, basically anything you need to do. And Peak's unlimited edit history is carried over into the playlist, so I can undo all of these edits that I've made if it's not quite what I wanted to do. Other things you can do, you can scroll audio within a fixed region boundary. You have precise nudge controls, so you can nudge by a user-defined amount of minutes, samples, frames, bars, beats, or CD frames. And in addition, you can work in the list view if you prefer. And here in the list view, you can also add ISRC codes. You can do emphasis, copy protection, and you can add CD text data, both for individual tracks and for the entire disk. When you're finished, you can burn your playlist to CD. And you can also now deliver as DDP file set with the optional DDP extension. So those are the highlights for Peak Pro 5. Let's take a look at some of the new plugins we have, which are part of Peak Pro XT5. And those include GateX, which is a gate and downward expander plugin. Pitchcraft, which is used for pitch correction and transposition. RepliQ is designed for spectral matching, so you can take a recording that you like, you can apply its spectral characteristics to another. Reveal is used for analysis, and let's take a look at some of the various displays. So here you have an oscilloscope, peak and RMS power history, spectrogram, pan power, spectral analysis, phase scope, and peak and RMS level meters. So there's also Squeeze 3 and 5. These are multi-band linear phase compressors. And here we have an EQ view with adjustable crossover points, threshold view, or a split screen that shows you both at the same time. And there are 3 and 5 band editions included. On top of that, we have a whole set of new Super Freak EQ plugins. So here's Super Freak 6 as an example. And not only does it include all these new plugins, but also includes our SoundSoap and SoundSoap Pro noise reduction plugins. So those are the main highlights for Peak Pro 5 and Peak Pro XT5. Thanks again for stopping by, guys, and we'll talk to you next time.